and welcome to another GateDrop.com podcast. I'm with Brian Jorgensen, and Brian, we know, has had a very successful Grand Prix motocross career, but now is venturing into the other side, and he has a very exciting new coaching trip to really plan and explain consistent coaching, Brian, it's called. And if you want to let us know straight away what brought this plan to your mind and how good you think this will be for riders, especially at the elite level?
Well, one of the basic things why I wanted to start consistent coaching is, of course, like a lot of years behind motocross, starting in a young age, didn't have a lot of knowledge of how to train, when to train, what to eat, and when to eat the right things. So I think for me, it's really important to come out with all my experience of the things that I learned over the years, because you can say that when you're learning the process, you will always there will always be things that you have to learn, and that takes a lot of times because you are finding out like a year later maybe that this training was not good enough, or it was not hard enough, or maybe I trained too much. So my idea is to come out with this consistent coaching and really be able to help young riders and established riders and elite riders that what to do and when to do things. So being able to follow the riders for the whole process of winter training, which we all know, and basically me now that understand that the winter preparation is one of the most important things to become successful during the season. So you earlier we can start with a good program, you easier it is to actually follow through and being on top level the whole season. So when I started motocross, and professional level, I actually thought that when I was finished with the season, I could maybe have 2 or 3 months off, and it's not like I didn't want to train, but I just didn't know better. So a couple of years into my professional career, I find out that one of the most important things is actually to, first of all, to build on for the next step and to progress in a better condition and to be able to do more quantity of training as well and more intensity. And to do that, you need a good foundation of conditional physical condition. So this is what I learned over the years, and that's basically how I started this consistent coaching. It's 2 different programs. It's for elite riders that really wants to improve, are willing to, you can say, put a lot more effort into it, but maybe don't quite have the ability themselves. So I start in October, and we do cycling and we do gym work. We follow that through until December, with physical training and gym work. They get a plan written out when they have left, you can say, Spain, where I live here, after a week of training, and then I start with motocross training in December, and follow through the whole season and guiding them and helping them to progress and hopefully receive their goals.
And you have a lot of experience. Obviously, your riding style and fundamentals was always very technically proficient, and you've just explained there that you've had to learn a lot of things yourselves, I'm sure, through trial and error on the fitness side. In America, they've obviously a lot of training centers and different things for your fitness, for your riding. This is obviously somewhere in Spain, really good weather in the winter, which isn't always the same in Belgium or here in the UK or even Denmark. So for a young rider who maybe in your position now, who doesn't maybe have parents who really know the sport or have contacts to get this information, this from the outside would obviously be a golden opportunity to get training from someone of yourself on a riding level, but then also to have that fast track really on what you need to do as a base to ride at a level like the World Championship, which, as we know, is an extremely high level, and it's a very deep field, and all these guys are doing what you're gonna be showing. So it's a fast track really to get to your potential.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, when I started working with you can say one of the biggest talents you have in the UK right now, Bobby Bruce.
Yeah.
I'm sure if you ask him about Brian Jorgensen and what we have done together so far, he thought in the beginning I was mental. you know, and he saw that when we were pushing and when we sacrifice and when we are, you know, suffering together going uphill or, you know, whatever we do in the mountains or riding the motorcycle, that I actually enjoy those kind of drills, you know, where I had to kind of convince him and said, you know, this is what you need to do, because the drills and the training and the satisfaction or the what can you say, the sacrifice and things that we do out here is, you know, when we sit behind the gate and it's going to be Lommel, or it's going to be a very tough track with hard, you know, hot condition, you're going to be suffering all the way through the moto, you know, even whatever shape you're in. So you have to learn how to suffer and to train hard and to put that extra effort into it. So I think for me it became natural. Like I said, I lived in Denmark before for many years after my professional career. And I always wanted to do this dream, you know, because I know what to do and how to do it. But to be honest with you, to sit in Denmark in November with, you know, rain and -5 and 10, maybe that's not an ideal training camp. So so that's why, you know, in the position I'm in now, living in Spain, and it's just easier for me to organize some consistent coaching, you can say, because the consistency of the weather is also a little bit different, both for cycling, so you make sure you don't get ill, and also for motocross, where we normally use the facility of red sand or CDG or different tracks, so we have a little bit of everything. So this is the basic thing why I want to do this. And you can say my consistent coaching is there's two ways of it. There's an elite program, which is it's built up for riders that wants to be really good at what you're doing. Could be, you know, top British championship level. It could be European championship or world championship. But the most important thing is those riders that they want to improve of what they're doing, you know, physically, and also the technical aspect of riding the motorcycle, because that's another important thing. You know, what I also been working with Bobby Bruce. He's quite a talented rider, but it's not all about just, you know, going wide open and be really fast and do things. You have to do it in the right way, and you have to, you know, you have to be a lot more strategically more smart of when you actually train during the season. So all the off-season training kind of have to go on to the season training. When you have a good condition, you can maintain a good level through the whole season. And that's basically some of the things that I have learned a lot from racing, you know.
And I was speaking to you in Lommel last weekend, 30-degree heat. They didn't level the track overnight. Those are the weekends where it's not what you did in the last month. Those are the weekends where it's what you did in October, November, December that really pay off. And I guess that's the sort of mentality, but also plan that you're able to implement. These riders coming up, these elite riders with big dreams. This is where you can come in really key and develop that mentality and strategy for July and Lommel whenever it's going to be pretty grueling.
Yeah, you know what, you know, everything what this program is all about, like the drills that we do together. I mean, I cycle with the riders. I mean, I'm willing to suffer with them, you know. But I think it's most about building up the routines of being a professional athlete, you know. Like we are training today, we are doing it tomorrow as well, and we are doing it to, you know, next day as well, and we do it the next month, and we're doing the next month, because the drills that we do, the consistency of doing what we do, gonna make a huge difference. To do that, we need routines every single day of our life. You know, we cannot get up at 7 o'clock one day and then say, today I'm gonna sleep till 9 o'clock. I find out in my career that the key to success was really to have a routine in my life. You know, everything from what we spoke about on previous interview, you know, getting up in the morning at the same time, and all those drills I built up through my boot camps, you know, with the consistent coaching. So everyone, when they come to the season, I don't have to be at every single race. You know, I could maybe be to some of the races, like I did with Bobby Bruce as well. I do with Yamaha as well. But to be honest with you, I want the riders to be independent. You know, I want them to understand what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And that's something that we do doing through the winter. You know, when we have all those drills, you know, give them advice on nutrition, when to drink. You know, why do we get up at a certain time every day? That's to get consistency. You know, when you have consistency and you build up routines, then you are able to progress of doing something. But you only get up and do something today, and tomorrow I don't feel like doing it. You're not going to be able to build on and progress in racing or condition.
I was speaking to Zach Osborne, I think it was at the Motocross of Nations at Matterley Basin, and I asked him what he felt Alden Baker brought to his program, and he used an interesting word for me: accountability. So everything he did, he was responsible for, and he had someone essentially pushing him and overseeing, as you mentioned, that consistency. And I would imagine that's what you will give the riders that join your program. You're giving them a plan. You're going to make sure they stick to it. And I think even when they go back to whatever country they're from or their home, you'll still be able to monitor their training. And again, that's another form of accountability. So as you were saying there with the plan, I would imagine that's a very important part of it, that they have that accountability to you, but also to themselves throughout the stage once you create that plan for them.
Of course, it's a important thing to have, a lot of motivation to do things. But what I also find out, through being a coach, it's not everyone that have that, self-drive of doing everything themselves. I learn to do those things, and I learn, that motivation comes from interest of what I do as well. But also because I've always been alone, I actually almost came to a point in my career where I felt that I don't want any help now, because now I can do it myself, But at that time, I spent a lot of years, maybe not knowing or, not doing things in the right way. So I think that, it's important to help the young riders, because in the beginning, everyone, I believe most people in a young age, they want to get away with getting maximum results and putting minimum effort. And I was like that myself. I told also before that my dad wants me to run when I was about 11 years old. My dad wants to say that I have to run 3 times a week or 2 times a week, 3 kilometers. And I thought he was absolutely crazy. But, I also knew that, that was a commitment that I have to give to him also, because he was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning doing things. So I kind of also had to do something for him. And because it's a very physical sport and maybe one of the hardest sport in the world, I did that. And then later on, it became a routine. And later on, it actually became like a fully committed things that I didn't even think about. I love to train. Today I don't need to train. Basically, if I'm not out there to bring out results. Of course, it's more like a self, how can I say, self-esteem. I love to be fit, and I love to go out with the riders like Bobby Bruce, and they think I'm fucking mental because I am in good shape. I don't back down. When we push and we suffer, I will go to the end.
Yeah.
So for me, it becomes like just a normal thing in life. That is, I don't think about emotions if I want to go cycling or whatever. I actually enjoy to push myself, and I enjoy to train. And hopefully I can guide some riders over in that direction, that it's not every time you get up in the morning, you think, I have to train today, or I have to do this. It's more like I need to go training. I really love to go training because I know it's good for me, but also because I want to reach that goal, what I have set for myself. And that's another problem maybe with some riders, that they're not very good or capable of setting goals. And I think that's one of the key words as well, is to keep setting new goals. When my biggest dream was become a Danish champion, and when I became a Danish champion, I was bored of it. It's like, fuck, now I want to be, a European champion. And then, I took that next level and became a European champion. And then, my biggest dream was to become a world champion in 125. I finished 6th and moved back to the, up to the big class with the big boys in MXGP class. But my goal and my drive was always to think and believe that I could win a world championship, because that's why I kept drilling and drilling and drilling to receive that goal, But we also have to think about, not everyone can get there for whatever reason, But it's important, like I say to the rider, it's not important for as much, what you achieve, but it's important to give your best. We have to set big dreams in life, and not always we receive or we achieve those big dreams, but it's important to have something to look forward to. That's why people play the lottery, You know, they're like the chances of winning the lottery are like, yeah, microscopic. You know, it's almost impossible. But still, there's people that is winning the lottery. You know, and that's the same kind of feeling I always had. You know, I want to be a world champion. Of course, you more drills that you put in, you more closer you're gonna come to that goal. And realistic is gonna, you know, your dream can come to reality when you keep believing in the process.
And when you put that work in, I would imagine the satisfaction is greater when you do achieve the goal because you've invested everything into that to achieve that.
There's nothing better, you know. Like I said before, you know, the podiums I had in my career, and especially my first podium in the MXGP class, you know, riding with the best riders at the world at that time. You know, Stefan Evers, Monique Berwood, you know, Pete Beyer, you know, Pichon and Joel Smith. They were my kind of people that I look up to, and suddenly I was there in the mix. You know, just treating them not like, oh, they're really good, but actually just have respect for them. But then actually, I actually belong here. And why I thought I belong here was because all the drills and all the hard work that I put into it. So I thought, why not me? And then, you know, then when you start beating them, I mean, there is no, you know, much better feeling in life when you actually kind of, you know, achieve those goals, because it's such a long, you know, time that it takes to get there, and you have to be very patient, and you have to learn, and you break down, and it's like psychological, you have injuries, and you come back up again. So when you actually win like one of your long time goals in life, it's so impossible to explain what kind of satisfaction that is. You know, I saw it with myself. I actually also saw it with Flanders, you know, when he won in Sardinia. You know, that kind of feeling of beating the best, you know, and coming maybe from a place where you have to travel to get to another place in the world to try to become someone in another country, in another region of the world is not easy. And there's, you know, you are completely alone in the process, and that's just an amazing feeling.
And for people that don't know, you were teammates with Stefan Everts, and you talked about resetting goals. Stefan became the greatest in titles and wins, so you got a view of to what he did, and then also what you had to do in modern times. Obviously, Jeffrey Herlings, he's on the cusp of breaking Stefan's GP win record. If it wasn't for injuries, he could well be up there with the 10 world titles, or 9 with Caruli. Those guys, you've had a window into Stefan Everts. You've watched, probably raced Caruli at some point, and say no, Jeffrey Herlings and currently Tim Gajser. In terms of motivation, do you have a lot of admiration for them, and were you able to learn from the likes of Stefan Everts that even these elite riders that you will be coaching, you can give information on their careers and their relentless motivation, I would say, to keep winning even when they've won so much?
Yeah, I mean, I think what is really, really interesting with athletes, and you know, now I'm in a side called motocross athletes, is it's amazing when you've been a rider yourself. You know, I did it my way. There was definitely things that I learned that I could have done in a different way if I had more knowledge. Stefan Everts did it his way. He was 10 times world champion, 100 and whatever Grand Prix wins. Amazing career. He did it his way. And then you have Jeffrey Herlings, and then you have Antonio Caroli, which I would probably define as legends, you know, like amazing riders, amazing, you know, personality, good or bad, you know, that's up to people decide the best who is their, you know, main who of the riders they like the best of personality. But I think is really what is really interesting in this sport is that there is no like notebook or like a completely guideline for how to be the best rider in the world. You know, if you were running or you were doing cycling, for example, there's probably a lot less things that you have to think about how to become the best. You know, if you can cycle with this kind of bat going uphill in a mountain, and you can do the distance, and you have a good mentality, there's a good chance that you're going to be really good at this, you know, for cycling. But for motocross, there's so many different things that can go good, but they can also go wrong, and everyone have their own little, you know, way of doing it. But I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the mindset. You know, how do you think about your success, and how do you actually get over your injuries, and how smart are you, and how patient and how confident are you in yourself to do the right things at the right times when you come back from injuries or not getting injured, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a very interesting subject. You know, if you took like Stefan Everts, Caroli, Jeffrey Herlings, other great champions, and you put them up and said, what did you do compared to this guy? I'm sure that there's completely different levels of how they did it, how they, you know, who trained the most and got less titles, and who trained a little bit less but got more titles because of talent. Same like Caroli, he comes across in me not a guy that push like unbelievable every day like Jeffrey Herlings. He is very good at having fun and doing things what he likes.
Yeah.
He's on it when he's on the bike, and he's off it when he's off the bike. You know, where
almost a mental break from that pressure,
yeah,
I suppose.
and I think that's a very good way of handling. You know, I was never really good at that. I never really um, allowed myself to do other things than training and, you know, being 100% dedicated and things. Why that was probably because I wanted so much. I want to take every chance, you know. And when you are alone in another country and you don't have your family and friends, you know, there is only one thing, and that's just training and try to perfectionize yourself all the time to become better. And you know, eating better, sleeping better, you know, doing everything what it takes to become a perfect athlete. But that means also that you're thinking about racing all the time, which I also don't believe that's a healthy thing. I think it's good to go out with friends. I think it's good to do other things, because that takes your minds and your pressure off your racing. Because when I think of most of the best results that I have, it actually came from a little bit being injured and spending time off the bike, giving my body a rest, giving my mind a rest, and actually coming back and incredible, you know, beating the best riders in the world. So that also puts a little bit of a extra analyze on my career. You know, is it important to train? Yes. But is it also important to recuperate? Yes, very much. Is it important to put your training drills at the right time of the season, off season, where you don't have all the races and the traveling and everything? Yes, it's so important. And then when it comes to the season, when you have done all that work, then you can kind of relax, because now all the fun starts, because the fun is racing people and seeing the achievements that you have done over the winter and the hard work that you have done, you know. So, and then you can recuperate it, because then you have time to take a slowly day when you're not riding so much, maybe not riding as much in the week, because you have done all that work. And also when it comes to injury, you know, when you have done a load of work and you have been organized during the winter, if a small injury comes up before the season, yeah, you have a little bit of extra gap, you know, to say, okay, but I've done my work. In 2004, when you know, I thought that was going to be my season if I had any chance to become a world champion. You know, I had one injury just before the GP. I didn't ride because of a big crash where we had an engine fail. And then I came back and I was second, and then I find out that, okay, I had to make operation in my carpal tunnel. And then I didn't ride again for 3 weeks and came back again and won in Teutzenthal. And then, you know, going to Belgium, being second in Sweden, I was second. And then I got another small injury with my foot. So I lost overall 8 Grand Prix that year, but I still finished 8 in the world. You know, so every time I was back, I was, you know, riding with the top guys. And that I could only do because I did such a hard work over the last, you know, 3 or 4 seasons, where I built up such a good foundation of being in good condition.
Ryan Dungey was very interesting to me when he moved to Alden Becker to train with Alden Becker, because he was always known as very hardworking.
Yeah.
But when he moved to Alden, his results improved. And to me, he couldn't have been much better, because he worked so hard before. It looked that there was a mental confidence that came with trusting Alden Becker that what he was doing was enough. And maybe for guys coming through that will go into your elite program, maybe that structure that they have with you because of your experience will give them confidence, because they know they're doing the right thing then. And we've seen with Dungey, even at the highest level in America, just having that security, mental security, that this is the
Mm.
best trainer. I'm doing everything I can do. There's no more doubt. He was
Yeah.
then able to execute to his absolute best potential. And even for the guys that you'd be working with, I would imagine
Yeah.
mentally that will give a bit of confidence too, in line with all the work they're doing.
Yeah, I believe in, I really believe in preparation. Preparation is definitely the key to success. It's not only in sport, but it's in business. It's anything what you do life when you have to go up to school. Preparation do feed success, and the more you can prepare yourself, you stronger you will be mentally as well. I believe one of the reasons that Jeffrey Herling is doing the results that he's doing is of course the way that he functional is that I think he's kind of drills or his strength is that he said, if I need to be the best, I need to train a lot more than the best.
Mm-hmm.
So that's his way to success. If that's because of a little bit of lack on his own confidence, that he just know when he sits behind the gate and said, there's just nobody that is as fit as me. Where you have Antonio Caroli thinking, maybe he's doing a little bit less of work, but he just have that self-belief and confidence in himself. Mm-hmm. This is my analysis. I could be completely wrong. But where I was probably myself, I was like, I also wanted to train hard, to make sure that I sit behind the gate and I was in a good shape and not allowing myself to take some time off. But maybe that was a little bit of lack of confidence from an early age, So there's so many different ways, but I do believe that success comes from preparation, and that's the thing that I want to help the riders with, to understand that, first of all, success, with being early out and doing training, you can afford a little bit of let's say a small injury or something like that and still be ready for the season. Where when I started racing, we started so late in the season, and then we had to ride the motorcycle, and we also had to run in the morning, like full throttle in the morning, because that's how we got learned by the Danish coach at that time. We had to run like 10K in the morning, and we was like fucking completely finished when we finished the training, and then we had like breakfast, and then we had to go out and ride for 2 or 3 times 40 minutes, and we haven't ridden the bike for 3 months. So by the third day of the week we were completely finished, and then we start making mistakes, and then there was a lot more opportunities that could come for crashing and having injuries. So that's why I like, okay, so we do a program that is going to be working and based on physical condition first, that we're going to do 2 times, October, November, and then we're going to go on the bike. And when we start on the bike, we're going to start on doing different drills that will feed off the good preparation that we have done. And it's also easier, me as a coach, to actually, when you follow the riders, it's like, okay, I've done the drills with you. I know that you have consistency and you have a good routine in your life, because not only when you're with me, but when you're home, I can follow you on Strava. I know what you're doing and all those things. So for me, it's easier to push them when we come to that point of the season leading up to the races, leading up to the season, thinking, okay, guys, now it's time to put the drills down, and now it's time to push. And then when they say to me, yeah, but I'm tired, I know they're not tired, because you can be mental tired or you can be physical tired. And the physical tired is, of course, something that I will know, because I know when you have done all those drills, you are not tired now. It's something that you think you are, but you're not. And that gives me a great confidence to work with the riders and say, yeah, but guys, we have done all this work. It's not possible that you are tired now. So that's basically one of the interest. And like I said, the other part of the coaching program is a more, you can say, for I don't know if I want to call it an average rider, but someone that wants to progress as well, and wants to be better. And there's not going to be as close, how can I say, in contact with the riders, but they get a program, they get an idea of what kind of drills to do on the bike and what kind of drills to do off the bike. And I think both ways is a very good guiding line of what you can do and what you have to do. And then you are maybe, not everyone stands by their words when they said, I want to become professional. It's like, yeah, okay. So do you know what a word professional means? That means, like 4 to 6 hours every day, working not only tomorrow or the day after, but I basically, train 360 days a year. If I had like, a week off where I didn't do anything, which I cannot remember the last 5 years of my career, but I always did something,
Yeah.
But what is important to understand, what is the difference between recuperation training, where you're just maintaining the condition, or you're just keeping yourself, in a movable way of still keeping your body fit, or what is the interval training? What would that do to your body? So I find out basically, okay, when the season is finished, I'm going to take a small break just to go off my mind. And then I'm going to start working on my basic condition. That's with lower heart rate, building up the foundation. And then you start slowly to build up towards the season, where, of course, when you come over to the start of the season, that's where you start drilling down and pushing yourself, because now you need you can say you need your lung capacity to be bigger as well, to have a little bit extra. So when you take the start, or when you're in the start and there's a lot of people pushing and you're a little bit out of breathing, when you have a bigger lung capacity because of interval training and a hard training, you have a little bit more extra to give, you can say. So that's basically why I find it such an interesting thing, and I'm really excited for to come out with this and let people know of what I do and why I'm doing it. Maybe most important.
And just to recap then, for the hobby riders that want to do the shorter program,
Yeah.
we're giving them physical training, nutrition, and technical on the bike advice regarding fundamentals and practices, all in the same package, same conversation.
Yeah, you can say, if I can just drill it down to, like, we start with the elite riders, for the guys that wants to be trained on a professional level. So with them I do 2 or 3 I do 2 boot camps on cycling and gym. I do 3 boot camps on motocross. So there would be physical and technical aspect of riding the motorcycle. Then I will follow them through with a program for the season, what they have to do between when I don't with them. So that's a very intense program, is for riders that really wants to improve a lot, and maybe even European World Championship or even British Championship on a high level. For the other program, is also consistent coaching, but it's more for average rider that is just searching for a program. I have other courses in Red Sand where they can come down and get technical aspect and get a lot of small fifth and ideas of how to ride the motorcycle in a better way. And then I will have one group call with them, discussing about the program, and then they're basically doing their own thing with the program. And I will send a new program every month. So that's just how it's going to run. When we do the group call, I open up for possibility of questions. People want to ask about something that they don't understand in the program, or maybe there's some ideas. But it's to give the feeling that they are part of a kind of a community where we all have a little bit of responsibility. Same with the lead riders. They have a responsibility to. If you want to say to me that you want to be one of the best, my responsibility is to give them a good program, but their responsibility is to do the things that they get told. And that's what I want to do with what you can say, less experienced rider, and not maybe World Championship riders. I also want to give them a program to try to increase the idea of getting in a better physical shape, and see how much that would actually do. And there's going to be different drills also in the program, where they have some understanding about nutrition. They have the program for when to eat and how to eat, and when actually to do the hydration. We are also so lucky that in elite program, but also the other program, we are supported by one of the best nutrition and the hydration company in the world, like Rhino Power. So I started working closely with them because it's been really difficult to find a product that actually been how can I say been proven to be good at motocross, because we are between our interval and what you can say endurance sport.
It's a hybrid,
so
really, isn't it?
yeah, and it's difficult. It's difficult to find products, and I see that myself when I'm out cycling, here in Spain, where it's really hot, to actually find products where you don't just get filled up with a lot of sugar, and then you burn that off the first 20 minutes, and then you're just riding on a what we call a cold turkey. I'm not sure that it's the same in English, but you know what I mean, where the sugar just drops and you just feel like you need sugar. You need to stop for Coca-Cola or something like that. So you can say Rhino Power is one of the only product that I know that is not filled up with sugar, and that means that you can actually also give this to young kids without giving them a sugar rush, and they go around like this. So there's going to be a lot of guidance, and going to be a lot of inspiration of how you can become a professional rider. But maybe just in general, just having more consistency of what you do.
So we'll move on to one of the riders you're currently coaching. He'd had a big injury this year, but he was progressing really well in the intervening years, Bobby Bruce.
Yeah.
He's going to finish the season in MX2, which is, he just did a British Championship there in the mud last weekend. Pretty good results around top 5, but now stepping up to MX2. Would you take on a rider of Bobby Bruce's talent? Obviously you're putting your time into him as well and expecting him to put in the effort. Do you sort of analyze the guy to see how badly he wants it as well? Is the mental side, the dedication, the heart part of the criteria for taking obviously Bobby on, but in your program, these elite guys, you want the heart as well as the talent, I would presume?
Yeah, I mean, I have seen a lot of talent, but I have seen less heart.
Okay.
No, not in specific Bobby Bruce, because he I believe, with so far that what I have seen, he really have the heart and desire to be, to become the best. But yeah, it's kind of I think it's either you have a lot of talent and then you don't really have a lot of heart, or you have a lot less talent and you have a lot of heart. So to find a rider that have that combination, with I would say Bobby have and maybe he have now, I wouldn't say in the beginning, because I'm sure if you ask him how is Brian Jorgensen mental states when it comes to training, he said, I'm absolutely lunatic. But because he see that I like to suffer, I love to push myself. So I think he learned how to love it because of the benefit that you get out on race day. When we did European Championship last year, to keep him on a good level during the season, finish second in the European Championship, leading on to the 4-stroke this year, was a little bit unlucky, twisted knee. They came up to me and they said, what do you think? Should we make up a race? He can ride through. The doctor said that he can ride through. And I'm like, don't even think about it. I had knee problems since I was 16 years old. I lost both of my cruciate ligaments. I had problems with my knee and have it a lot less today because I'm not racing and doing. But I had to change completely my riding style to be able to continue to be a world championship rider. And if I could have changed what I know today, but because I was so small and there was not a lot of technician around having knee surgery, they said, you have to be 19 or 20 before you can have a knee surgery. Furthermore, they said it was 12 months to recuperate or more. I didn't have 12 months once I turned professional, So to guide Bobby and said, okay, I know we worked hard since December. It's absolutely devastating that we are in this situation now. But you have to think that your career is just started. You're just trying to make your marks. And if we carry an injury from last year into next season, and then you show that you can really be, and you get a factory ride or whatever that would happen in the future, but you're still having problem with your knee, the career is finished. So it was really important to guide me with my knowledge and my experience. Said, okay, we stop now. Let's get that operation. And I was very lucky that I had some good, friends like Joel Smith. He got me in with Dr. Klaas and got a quick, appointment there. Get the operation done, and now we are ready. And the knee is stronger than ever. And that's also one of my guidings to the riders, just listen, because I have done it all, I have tried.
Thing, isn't it? You've the trial and error almost for your career that will benefit them. As you mentioned, Bobby, in that situation, if you weren't there, he might have soldiered on, and it could have.
I'm sure he would have said, but I can do it. It's I want to do it. I've done all that work. But I just know from being young and, sticking your legs out wide open going into a corner, if that crucial ligament is not there and you proceed the corner like that, it's gonna go worse, and then the meniscus is gonna go, the bone is gonna crack off, and I know the whole process because I've been there and done it.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I think for Bobby, it's great. He's gonna come back in Sweden. I'm gonna travel out tomorrow to work with him during the weekend. He's gonna stay with me in Sweden doing a little bit of training together before Finland. And one of the most important things, of course, with coming back after injuries, and that's also from experience, is that one of the hardest things is that you think that you can gain everything that you have lost in a short time. But it doesn't happen like that. Even if I have all that experience, I remember when I haven't raced for 3 years when I was a national coach in Denmark, and then I did a Danish championship, and it was so difficult. The first race, I was completely, I still did quite well, but I remember all those things that you with racing, the start, the whole procedure in your head, how you do it, how you deal with it, how you deal with the pressure. It takes a little while to get into this again, But once you let's say like the second moto for me, when I had such a long break, I was straight back at my good capacity, But that was on that level, But I know that Bobby is going to come back to shape, but we need some races to kind of, our goal with those races is to try to feel, where are we, how does it feel? Is there anything we can change on the bike? How is the suspension? Get some more learning process to prepare for 2023. No, and then when we finish the season, he's gonna have a small break, and then we start drilling. And then we start working up towards the season. We're not gonna start out like, when we do those cycling, we're not gonna go like completely mental. We're gonna take it slowly. We're gonna build up the physical condition, which it's built up by a certain heart rate. And then, when we start on the bike, we have such a good foundation that it should be possible to start drilling and making some good motos that people can sustain, the conditions for the whole season.
I want to talk a little bit about Jeffrey Herlings, but also the end into the MXGP World Championship last year. With your, I guess, coaching and technical head on in terms of the techniques, and for me, the very end was a lot about dealing with pressure. And Jeffrey was the one who came up the best there. He also came back from injury that year. Tim had to deal with an injury. What was your thoughts on that season and the mental and physical challenges all those contenders had? I mean, Caroli and Prado were in it too until injuries came. And then going into that last round for Jeffrey to come out on top. What were your thoughts and analysis of all of that? And Jeffrey's will to win as well, I guess, played a big part there.
Well, that's exactly back to the some of the things that we talked about. That guy drills a little bit more than everyone else. So that means when he comes in a complications with small injuries, he always you can say like have 10% more of extra capacity in his body. He have done all that work. He maybe done like 15% more than any other rider. I mean, I've seen him in red sand during the winter. I know pretty much, if I think that I'm mental of feeling good about training, I mean, that guy is just he is on a different planet, no doubt about it.
What you would have?
Yes, for sure. He's very, very dedicated, and especially the things that he does on the bike, the way that he rides the bike. He probably are also not the most, he's better over the last 2 or 3 years when he got on the 450, but I would not say he's the most elegant rider on a motorcycle. he's not like a Stefan Everts or even a combination of Stefan Everts and Jeffrey Herlings, which probably like Caroli, you know, he can turn it on as well. But he's quite smooth when he wants to be smooth. He stands up a lot, uses balance. So I think that my analysis of that last race, I was there in Mantova, is just that guy just have that, you know, 5% extra. You know, he's like a Lance Armstrong on a bicycle back in the days without the doping. But you know, but he just have that extra. You know, he just wanted just a little bit more, and I was so impressed when I saw that. When I could basically feel the pressure that those riders are dealing with, because I've been there myself. I know, you know, what is expected. And when it comes down to the last race and you only have 3 points difference, or how much it was, I mean, I could almost not look the first corner. I was so excited and feeling really nervous on their behalf, you know. But I could see that, you know, that when I looked at Jeffrey's eyes before going into the gate, you know, those eyes already told me, I'm in control. I'm gonna fucking win this race. There was no 1 second doubt in his mind that he was not gonna win it. And that's basically the mindset, you know, when you're always telling yourself that you are gonna win, you're gonna succeed, you're gonna be the best. You will get the best, of course, if you also do the drills. And the background for that is, of course, all the championships that he won, but all the hard work that he had put into his racing and training. He just have that, I would say, 5% extra, and that 5% he needed at that specific race. Just like
he had to pass Febvre to do it. He put a smart block pass in Febvre, and then the last one, Tim kept the pressure on, and he didn't have to beat Tim, and he still, from the outside, you're like, it was a risk to still try and win that moto when he didn't need to. But again, that was a sign of his mentality. He didn't want to give Gajser any confidence. He just wanted to show he was the best. Even when he had the title wrapped up, he wanted to win that second moto, which again, I'm sure from your side is really impressive under that stress. Shows his mentality. It's a ruthless, I want to win and I want to dominate, kind of like Carmichael.
Yeah, and you know, like you said, he didn't need to win. But when you don't need to, and you just want to do it because of your own sake, it's not about the points, it's not about the money, it's actually just about, I want to win. I only understand winning. And, you know, this is the greatest satisfaction, to finish the season off as a title, you know, a world champion, to win the last race the way that he did. Yeah, it just shows that that guy is, you know, he is he's a true champion. There's not anything you can take away from that. I will, when I analyze Jeffrey, you know, I think he's a great guy. He's an incredible sand rider. He's an incredible motocross rider. But if I had to take some of his weakness, which I can analyze from being a coach, is that he is not so patient. You know, he's sometimes pushing the boundaries, which give him the goods, but also give him the bad. You know, it can go either way sometimes. I mean, I saw some of the passes that he did in Mantova, and I was like, okay, that was risky, but he succeeded. And if you are not willing to take those risks, that would have been maybe those 3 points difference to become a world champion and not become a world champion. That's where you see, if you know, you got to be willing to take that risk and play it completely out. And you also have to realize that sometimes it just got good, and sometimes it goes bad. But that's the part of the racing. You know, we see it in Formula One, we see it in MotoGP, we see it in motocross. You know, that's what champions is all about. You know, they're willing to take the risk. Sometimes they, you know, succeed, and sometimes they don't. And you can say Stefan was a little bit, he was a great champion as well, but he was a little bit more patient. You know, he will settle for a second, but because he had that patience, he never put himself in that situation that Jeffrey was in, you know, where there's only 3 points down to the last race. I don't remember Stefan ever been in that position. So that's my analysis.
Regarding this season, from that moment in Mantova, so much changed so quickly, with Romain getting hurt in Paris and Jeffrey getting hurt in the January. And in Tim's interview straight after Mantova, because he was a few more points back going into Mantova, he seemed already motivated for this season. And to me, he's maybe at his highest level ever. It's just a disappointment Jeffrey and Romain weren't there to try and run with him. Going into next year, then, looks like Tim will wrap this up, all being well, he doesn't have a disaster. Do you think he'll still have the motivation maybe he had from the year before, because he's still to beat Jeffrey and straight up essentially in a world title fight, that this victory won't quell any desire for him? And Dirk Rubel said in Lawmal that Jeffrey's already all-time motivation to sort of right everything that went wrong this year. And we've seen Romain come back from the disappointment of the championship, then that very bad injury which ruined this championship. And he's pretty much not far off the pace, even with a bit of illness. Even on Lawmal he was fast. So the mentality of all these guys to me is already really impressive, and I'm almost jumping ahead to next season to see them, the three of them, fit again. But how do you analyze their mental strength to recover from all their different situations at this point in time?
I think what is in consideration here, when you're running against a title contender, you are also looking at his consistency of being able to do every moto, and that consistency have not been with Jeffrey for many years. Now you're giving that consistency to Gajser, where he actually played that uppercut all the time and said, okay, if I can beat him, I will beat him. If I don't beat him, and then I finish second. I feel that Tim is that kind of rider. Now that he's so confident, that he also learned how to back down when you have to back down and put effort in when you have to put effort in. But it's a chess game, it's a chess game, it's a mental game. You have to feel the riders. You have to not give them too much confidence, because then they will take advantage of it. But also, like what Stefan did with us, we when we could win, he would try to beat us. When I won in Jorgensen, he was trying everything to beat me, but then he's like, okay, I will maybe back down here and finish second, and then I will make a mistake the next race, or the next GP, and then he had that advantage. And that's probably the game that I would say Gajser had to play with specific Herlings if he wants to win another title against him. He have the patience, because he's a current world champion this year again with a massive point lead. So that would be the chess game next year. It would be very excited to see, but I think that would be the definition.
I was speaking to Chad Reed in Paris last year. I don't know if you heard or seen the interview, and I asked him about Jeffrey Herlings on that title fight. And I thought he was going to be very complimentary towards Jeffrey's performance that year. He took a different angle in that he said Jeffrey was an amazing rider, but he doesn't control championships.
No.
And I thought that was quite interesting, especially after he just won. Is that what Chad, I think, was alluding to, the fact he has the talent and he has the pace, but in terms of 450 championships, he only has 2 titles when he probably should have at least two or three more. Is that what you were alluding to there with Stefan and stuff about that control that Tim is exhibiting this year, that Jeffrey maybe hasn't got yet? Although on the other side, some of his crashes, I mean, his photo shoot crash at the start of this year was quite unlucky. How much is the control with him, and how much is it sometimes just a bad luck or maybe a bad decision with the last couple of injuries he's had?
Yeah, I think it's like we spoke about before. It's like being that patient, knowing, have the feeling of when do we need to back down. What happened on that photo shoot it's for me, it's completely. I still don't understand it, how it's possible, but it's possible. But like I said, he's been a lot better over the years from when he rode 250, but he is lacking of patience, and he is lacking of feeling of when to put all in and when to back down. And that's because that's his strength and that's his weakness. When he, like I said, when you have a 3-point lead going into the last race, or 3 points down, you just need to win, and he will do it. But it's on the edge. It could go either way. But to run a championship, when you have people that is as good as him and can push him all along the way, and you have consistency like Tim Gajser have shown over the last couple of years, yeah, it's you're gonna push him to an edge that you want to push him to, because you probably think that he's gonna make a mistake, and the results kind of shows that he is. When he gets in that zone where he's been able to make a mistake, he makes a mistake, and that's where thing goes wrong.
Well, is that he's going to come in very motivated next year? Is there a danger then that a year off and wanting to assert himself as the fastest guy in the world again, is there a chance that mistake could come again, because he's going to be so much anger? I would imagine that he's lost another world title due to injury.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. I can only say my personal view, how I would feel if I came in and I've been a world champion and been the rider that Jeffrey had before. And of course, one of the most dangerous things was coming back is to prove. And when you're proving things, you're willing to go more on your limits. And when you go more on your limits, there's a bigger chance of things can go wrong. So I still think it's possible. But you need a little bit of luck. You need a little bit of luck from Tim Gajser's side, that he maybe have a couple of mistakes or he get pressures. But to be honest with you, he's shown a great confidence. Tim, he's been a little bit down in the middle of the season. It was almost like when he built up that points lead up like 90 points, 100 points, it was almost like he didn't need to win more.
He doesn't need it,
yeah, and now he's been a little bit down, and now he started winning again, because the other guys, maybe a little bit down. And that feeling and sensation he have there, it's something that Jeffrey will not have, I believe. He will just continue pushing himself, even if he have 100-point lead or he's in one lap in front. It doesn't matter, because that's his natural instinct, and you can never say that's right or wrong. But that just brings the situation that he's sometimes in.
Does it, from you've been injured and come back and bad injuries, he's had a lot of bad injuries, and he's still always able to come back and become usually the fastest rider in the world again. Does it impress you that, especially with the neck, I think he's in the operation to get metal out of the foot he broke 4 years ago, so he could actually be healthier than he has in 4 years next year, but still the mental fortitude to put all that pain behind him and ride the edge, as you mentioned, to beat a rider of Tim Gajser's quality, Romain Febvre. Does it impress you the mental strength he has just to put all that behind him and, just as you said, be instinctive and go as hard as he can again?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I've never had like big injuries. I had things with my knees, which played a lot of part of being part injured, or but I've only broke a collarbone. I've never really broken too many bones in my body. I've been quite blessed in that way. But one of my main reasons to stop, but it was difficult to prove myself after small injuries and coming back to be proved, because it's such a mental game, physically and mentally thinking, I can do it again. I belong here. I'm one of the best. So I can only imagine being him when you are the best. What kind of physical and mental strength that would have on your body. It must be amazing. And I think, you can only do that for certain years. I definitely run in my own career. I've run out of being able to pick myself up and proving to myself I could be one of the best in the world. And, in a certain stage, you think like, oh, fuck, I don't know if I have it, what it takes to come back and proving again, because it's such a mental, drag on your whole body and mentality. So I don't know how many times he can keep doing that. He's also getting older now. And, I do believe a lot in body memories. When body have a certain impact on operations, it's not good for the body. That's basically what you can see. What Roxon is struggling a little bit. You can see when he's riding, he's limited himself in certain position with his wrist. A lot of people talk, technical wise but also physical wise, because he had so many operations and he had so much, you can say, poisons put into the body, which also reacts on the blood. Your blood cells and everything maybe that's why he have it difficult to continue being fresh every weekend in and out, you know. And that could also be Jeffrey. And you also, no matter what, you know, when you have been injured, it takes time to heal up, but it also takes the brain and the nerve system to actually think, okay, now the injury is gone, you know. And until that nerve system realize that the injury is gone because you don't feel it anymore, you don't have any pain, then you can, you know, start riding free.
I have a final question on Jorge Prado. If you can put yourself in his situation right now, it's a difficult season in terms of results, although he's still in and around that podium, top 5, those main guys. His technique, like yours, is really, really good. I mean, even those first 5 minutes at Lomond when he was leading and he was sort of on his A game, he was fantastic to watch. How will he be dealing with things, or at least if you were him, would you be feeling pressure right now? Is it the bike? Is it a mental thing? Is it a physical thing? Because you can still see he's close in ability and everything's still there to go for an MXGP world title, but it's not clicking for him this year. And this was the year, I think, well, I maybe thought this was going to be his year to do it with the experience he's had the previous 2.
To be honest with you, I'm a little bit confused with that Prado, because he's amazing, you know, technical wise, he's amazing. He have the whole package. He's a really nice guy. He's mentally proven that he's strong. I don't,
smart on the bike as well.
Yeah, and maybe in a lack of championship contender, he may be even a little bit too smart in some ways. But I still believe that it's about time, and time will come to him at the right moment where he will pick that next step. I still think moving from 250 to 450 is, you know, being his size, you know, not being really strong, but just really flexible. And I think it still will take, you know, a half a year more before he can be a title contender. But I don't doubt his capability of being a world champion in the MX class. That there's just something that needs to click, whatever that is. You know, if that's the bike or the team or himself, that's a big puzzle. But the guy is talented. He's lovely to watch. You know, he's so smooth. He never put you on an edge thinking, oh fuck, that there he almost went. You know, but maybe that's also his weakness. You know, he never bring that to complete the limit like Jeffrey does, you know.
Yeah. Would Renault's success this year, Prado beat all these guys that are moving up now whenever he was in MX2, even Ruben Fernandez has been very fast. Mitch Evans is getting faster and faster as well. If you were him, I think he's quite mentally strong, so I'm not sure how much it really would, but would there be a frustration if you were him, beating all those guys and then having Maxime Renault come up this year and be so instantly successful? Would that play on your mind if you were in his scenario, or are you is Jorge just focused on his own, getting this bike sorted out and fulfilling his own potential? How is a rider thinking about those things?
I mean, Maximum Renault is of course he's on a Yamaha, so that tells the no. I mean, it would definitely play on my mind when someone comes up being world champion and then start beating the best in the world. But again, you know, as an athlete, you need to believe in your own program. You need to believe that you will be there, and the way to get there, he have his own ways. Sometimes it takes longer time. I will see if you look at the body wise of Maxime Renault and Jorge Prado, the way he ride the motorcycle, I will probably think that the way that he won the world championship last year, Maxime, I would predict him as a better 450 rider. So I was still a little bit surprised that he was that good so early. But we saw that also at Motocross of Nation with the Spanish rider that rides the Honda, Fernando. You know, he was also really good on the 450. So with body structure like Prado, it will, you know, with that much technique, it probably takes him a little bit more time to kind of put out your elbows towards those big guys. So yeah, you know what, we all have different progress and different time to do it. I'm sure he's going to be there. If it's going to be this year, next year, nobody knows. But he's an amazing rider, and that's all there is to it.
That's fantastic, Brian. I think anyone that's listening or watching will understand from the last half hour of conversation on your analysis of the top MXGP riders in the world, how closely you follow the sport, but also how much you can relate to what they're doing. You can get in their minds, you can look at their technique. And it's these small percentages that in your coaching in the winter, on the bike, off the bike, that I think especially the elite riders are really gonna benefit from. And I guess that's the plan really. It's these 1% here and there and little bits of knowledge you can bring.
Yeah, exactly. But thanks a lot for your time. And like I said, if people want to get more information, go in on mx8.dk. And there you have all the information of the elite program, but also for the other consistent coaching for less advanced riders. So go in and have a look. And you can almost write me a message on Brian Jorgensen MX School on Instagram and Facebook. And I will try to answer as good as I can.
No problem. And we'll have those details on our webpage on the YouTube platform as well. So Brian, thank you very much once again for your time, and we'll speak to you soon, no doubt. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Thank you.